here.
And it's never a bad thing to get against Protoss either because of that PDD.
Oh yeah.
It really works hard against the Stalkers. But if we look at Whiterun, he's getting a very low Stalker count mix.
Mm-hmm. He's switching. Actually, he has 6 gateways, but I think it's more of a responsive measure, just in case sjow decides to be aggressive and say the next, 2 to 3 minutes, he can respond by pumping out a lot. Where if
Not to cut you off, but there is a Banshee above Whiterun's third, and Whiterun has nothing there.
There is an observer, however, flying over to sjow's base, but I don't think sjow has cloak. Oh, he does have cloak.
So this Banshee has 4 kills. It does have cloak, and are we gonna see that Banshee from Whiterun or from sjow versus Huck? That would be entertaining.
He's just sort of sitting here in the no man's land behind the natural. Here comes the observer though for Whiterun.
Yeah.
Sjow's not careful, but he knows.
Very nice micro from sjow, keeping that Banshee alive. There is another Banshee at the north. However, it is being spotted by something. I don't see. Okay, now it just wasn't cloaked. I'm silly.
And the Banshee unfortunately goes down
On the south.
in the main. Yeah, South Banshee goes down.
Well, this Banshee in the north has got 4 kills. However, it is now being spotted. And will it go down? No, it gets away and decloaks, saving itself some of that energy. So some more harass. Like I said, I kind of knew that's what we were going to see from sjow. That is his play style. That very offensive, poking and prodding, and it really puts the Protoss player on his back foot, giving him no opportunity to push.
Yeah, and the you'd think the harvester count would have evened out there a little bit, but it's still 66 to 50, now 68 to 50. So Whiterun really staying on top of his pro production and deflecting that without taking too many losses.
So we're seeing a Colossus from Whiterun, as well as upgrades all over the place. Weapons 1, armor 1, thermal lance, dropping cannons behind his bases for that vision against the Banshees. So that's a very smart defensive play from Whiterun. It allows him to be a little more mobile with his observers. And also taking a 4th already. And, being a base ahead of the Terran, it's really key. It's really how you take down a Terran fast.
Yeah. If you can outproduce a Terran and just like run him over, well, I think that's the best way to play. But you see, sjow here is getting a very, very, very cost-effective mix against Protoss. He's getting Ghost, he's getting Stim.
He's even getting the Mobius reactor upgrade for his Ghosts.
So they're going to spawn with enough energy to EMP instantaneously. And here goes sjow with another harass. There's a drop moving out. It's actually just leaving his main base right now.
The Banshee at the east is coming out too.
Oh, but Whiterun spots it. He's got this really smart observer placement.
And sjow has no idea that it's being spotted. And the Banshee goes down to a cannon. So that cannon paid for itself already. And somehow sjow knows that because he can't 2-prong anymore, he backs up with his drop. So
yeah, smart decision there.
Yeah, very conservative play from sjow. He knows when to do that harass, and when he's not going to get away with it.
I like how Whiterun has his units split up across the map. Like the Zealots and the Sentry are just sort of chilling here in the middle. Like, well, they're going to retreat now that sjow's moving out, but
sjow is moving out with quite the force too. Vikings, Ravens, Marauders, Marines, siege tanks, quite a number of siege tanks too. There are 2 Ghosts in that mix, I believe. They're kind of under the Vikings here.
Yep. Each of them with enough energy to EMP once each.
It is true, and if he takes his time with this push, he'll have enough to EMP twice each.
And the Raven, as you said, has enough. Actually, really effective PDDs. Yeah, he can put down 2, and that's
and the observer is going to go down. Sorry, go ahead.
The PDD effectively nullifies 20 shots from a stalker. So just this is a game of math when you get down to the real nitty gritty. So that's 40 stalker shots completely nullified. And I think if White Raw attacks into this, he might be in a little bit of trouble.
So we're seeing a little bit of nudging from both players. White Raw losing a Zealot, but the Siege Tank shell's killing one of sjow's own Marines, although I think it might have been the Colossus as well. And now sjow is going to push out, but he's at a bad angle. If White Raw engages him when he's... Okay, now he's balled up a little bit better. The Vikings are going to take pot shots at the Colossus, and I don't see any PDDs yet. Really two fail EMPs. Those were terrible. And...
very smart for White Raw to back up there.
But now his army's split up. They're too far away from the siege tanks. And wow, what is going to happen here? Looking at the grades, we're 2-2 for White Raw and only 1-0 for sjow. The same mistake that Jinro made.
There goes the PDD. And just trying to keep these Vikings alive, but it wore out pretty quickly.
The Vikings go down. The EMP missed again, though, right when that PDD went down. So a lot of miss micro from sjow. The siege tanks are shelling Duckloadra's army, though. But the Viking count is really low, so those Colossus, they're still there. White Raw might lose this 4th base, which would be terrible, but he is taking a 5th in the midst of all this battle.
I really like where he's sitting his units, though. Show's trying to kite with his infantry back to his tanks, and sorry.
Wow! But look at this. He moves too far with his tanks. I think he got greedy, and now White Raw will be able to push forward because of the Immortals in his army, the range on his Colossus, and the upgrades on his Zealots. He is going to break this. sjow definitely got greedy with that push.
I was just gonna say, White Raw's being really patient. He's waiting for an opportunity to break that contain, and there he saw the opportunity. He took it, and now shjow's on the back foot. Like once White Raw gets into his production here, I think that's gonna be game.
And White Raw not even losing that base, so he is way ahead of sjow in economy and production if this doesn't go well for sjow, and it looks like it's not going to. The Stalkers having Blink and having high ground from the Colossus. This is no obstacle for White Raw's army at this point. A well-placed siege tank from sjow back in the buildings doing as much damage as possible, but it is not enough.
And there's the GG.
There's the GG.
GG!
GG! You need to find me that doll.
Yeah, I really want to. I'm not even sure what it is. I think it's like a little action figure. Day 9 has one. Total Biscuit has one. You should have one too.
I'm a little bit jealous. But yeah, that is game 1. Yeah. So game 1 between Duckloadra and sjow, and I have to say that did not go the way I thought it would. What do you think about that?
I really liked what sjow was doing with his siege tanks. I think, again, the mistake he made was he was a little bit too aggressive. And what the problem was, his infantry count was depleted by White Raw's constant picking away at it. Like he was sitting there in the spot where he couldn't get shelled by the siege tanks and taking pot shots at the infantry when they got too far with those Colossi and with those Stalkers, and he never once let his Zealots just run in and all die at the same time. He kept his count up, he kept his units alive, and then saw that opportunity to break that contain. And that once you break the contain of a siege tanking Terran player, it's pretty much game. You just run back to their main and kill them.
And siege tanks, they are very, very powerful, but at the end of the day, they are only supporting units. And after losing his infantry ball to the Colossus trying to engage that Expo, his siege tanks were sitting there by themselves, and all it took was White Raw to eliminate the remaining bio ball, and then the siege tanks were naked, and they died so fast to Immortals, Zealots, and Colossus.
Yep.
And that's really why sjow lost this game. I think sjow played fantastic, and it really leaves game 2 up to question. So let's go to game 2 and see who wins between Duckloadra and sjow.
All right.
All right.